All right. Hello, everybody. Ben and I are back. I guess this third episode, we're gonna be talking about change generally.
Yes.
Um, so yeah, that'll be the main topic. I guess we also had some thoughts about title for podcast. I like willing to change. So I might just lock that in, but well, irrelevant
Sam
to
is
what this
the
is.
is
Yeah.
the is the boss. So living life.
Okay, I
Damien
like that
asked
actually. But
Damien asked life's journey, and I think that's a decent but it's not unique. It's a
yeah,
decent suggestion, but it's not unique. So
yeah, that was
um
similar.
so I think we're going with willing to change.
Got Merlin back there and
Yeah.
Charlie both.
Yeah, they be living life too.
Yeah, so I might be good with that. And it just happens that we're talking about change. Um, so yeah, I guess we could just hop in here. Uh,
Absolutely.
let's see. I could have done a little more planning, but basically, I had some random conversations, I guess, with some friends, and I could talk about those.
Sure.
Um, I don't know if I'll do it instantly or not, but I came basically. I kind of created my own formula, you could say, for change. I don't know if formula is right, but I like wrote out like
Formula, that's good.
yeah, I like wrote out a couple things that I think like are necessary for change to happen. I
I
thought of
agree.
it.
I think real change is like
Mhm.
one of the hardest things someone can do.
Yeah,
Well, real longer term change.
right. It's easy to like change for a little or
It's
revert
it's
back or
so
revert
easy
back.
to go back in your own like I don't know, uh,
Old habits and
routines and
ways. Yeah,
rituals. Yeah, old habits, even if they're not good habits. Like
right.
I feel like I always think of like um a recovering like alcoholic or like
Hmm.
any substance abuser when I think of like change and how difficult it is for anyone addicted to anything to like fully quit, change forever, and like how much it takes. And I'm like, I'm interested to see what your take on how to change is, because that's like I think that's like one of the most secret source formulas.
Yeah, yeah. I just agree overall because like even anything. I mean, it's first things smaller too, but for addiction, yeah, like you could be good for even a year or two, and then you can revert back. So it's like
Absolutely,
it's
yeah,
constant tension for some stuff like that. But I think of it related to even like it can be bigger things, where if you want to change like personality stuff, or it could even be like I think randomly like a sleep schedule or something, where you put like all the time to
agree.
fix it, and then you like one night you just like stay up an extra.
I've found my sleep schedule difficult to fix since I was like 17.
Mm,
Like in terms of like I'll go to bed a lot of nights at 10 or 11 now,
yeah.
especially since Charlie was born. It's really helped me like be better about going to bed
Mm.
like earlier on at a similar time every night. But some nights I look at the like computer screen and see it's like 2 in the morning, and I'm
Yeah.
like I don't know what I was this it's like I'm 18 to 28 again because I spent all those years
Yeah. The computer is
like
not a
out
proponent of
caring.
keeping your sleep schedule on back up. Playing
Yeah,
games with
yeah.
friends or just getting locked in.
Yeah. I always go down the YouTube rabbit hole. I don't know why.
Yeah, right.
I
And you're
just
like,
love it. I'm just watching like
sometimes it's just
why
shorts,
Mars is
even.
the way it is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Shorts or TikToks, I guess, same thing. But you're watching like ten
Yeah.
second clips for like 30 minutes. You're like, okay, we're free them for longer.
Mhm.
But yeah, okay. So the things that my like quote unquote formula, I guess. I don't know if it's formulas right, but it's just components, I guess, because I don't think it's also necessarily uh like chronological order.
Right.
First I
Like
said
a
that
recipe.
yeah, yeah, exactly. Uh, Harley. Okay, first I said awareness of something to change. That kind of goes in like noticing with what we talked about, but let's see. Like I guess generally like total realization of situation. Um, and
How's that different? How's realization of the situation different from awareness, or you just
okay,
meant them as the
well,
same thing?
I guess I put this more so to be some like overlap in the different ones, but my like saying
Sure.
realization of situation and like being honest with yourself, like where you are, because like you sometimes you can just expect like greatness from yourself when you're not even performing at all. If
Mhm.
you've done that for anything, like it could be
Yeah,
like
yeah, I guess you kinda need to reset your delusion, let's say.
exactly like you could be like, oh, I should be exercising, and I need to be exercising every single day of the week, and you're not even doing it one day of the week, like.
Right.
But this isn't, yeah. So that could maybe fall into some other category. Yeah, awareness of something to change, and I guess the big thing that I've realized for this one as well is like the bigger your issue, the more awareness you'll have of it. Which sounds, I guess, kind of obvious, but like even for things that you'd maybe consider negative, like something like depression or like a big like medical issue, or maybe like dealing with death or things like that. Big
Mhm.
overall things I think in your life, and generally those are what can lead to the most change. I think it's because it makes things like really obvious about yourself.
Mhm.
So like, yeah, I realize there can be some positives to the thing. And then I put step two or number two. I have understanding that change is possible, and I put like labels and victim mindset in that. Uh, I think my victim
Yeah.
mindset's pretty big because like if you think nothing's your fault ever and everything's just happening to you, you have like no control or no ability to change anything.
Yeah, yeah.
And then
Yeah,
yeah.
responsibility is a massive, massive, like, thing there, right? Like,
Mm-hmm.
taking responsibility for what you can change.
Right, exactly. And then labels also kind of lead you to think like uh that you're kind of stuck in your ways.
Yeah.
And then understanding change is worth it, and I put like self-worth. Because I think a big reason for me at least, honestly, I think self-worth is just kind of OP, and like everybody should work on that no matter where you are.
Yeah,
Uh
though I think self-worth is one of the hardest things to change,
yeah.
like, ever, right? If someone says you can never, like, eat chocolate or pizza or whatever
Hmm.
again, like, that would suck for me, but I'd be like, "Okay, I can do that." But it's like if someone says, "You need to change your self-worth. You need to, like, look at yourself in the mirror and just, like, be so glad with who you
Hmm.
are," or, like, so accepting, let's say,
Yeah.
of who you are and, like, look at it with us like, in a positive light rather than a negative light. Like, for me, that would be like that would sound impossible almost. Not that I don't believe it's possible.
Yeah, yeah. I know what you're saying because that's how I thought too. And I think I mean I'm not still like as not like I have the highest self-worth in the world. I just have more than I did, and like I think it helps a lot. Um,
Yeah, yeah. I feel like it's almost noticeable. The change, I think, or it going in an upwards direction, I think, is
mhm.
like so crucial.
Yeah, and it's not linear or anything like. But I do think, yeah. So having self-worth, I think, makes it so you want to invest and like improve your life generally, because otherwise, like, uh, it's just easier to stay in comfort zone and kind of do nothing and a lot of stuff, and like it has to be like worth it. Um, so
Right.
then, yeah, hard work and effort are one. That's kind of required no matter what. Faith that things will work out. I think it's a pretty big thing.
Yeah.
That leads you to kind of committing to it. And I
Hmm.
put a bunch of like fears as like something. Stop it. Fear of rejection or abandonment or wasting time. It could be a million fears.
Yeah,
But
yeah. So
generally, those get in
like
the way.
the maybe not lack of fear, but the bravery to overcome them.
Yeah, because like things are out. Like you can never know that things will. I mean, I kind of do believe like with the right mindset and hard work and everything, it'll just work out generally. But it's hard to blindly do that. Like I don't know. All fears and stuff are always going to appear, so you just kind of got to work through them.
Hmm.
And then just time is the last thing. Um,
Yeah, yeah. It can take a long time, I think.
yeah. When I wrote this was just general for change because I think one thing I realized a while ago, and this was one of my conversations that I had with a friend from my story union actually, but it's
Hmm.
crazy how many people in the world think change is just impossible and they're hardwired to be the way that they are or the way that they perceive
Yeah.
themselves or anything like that.
Well, I don't know. In this respect, I view myself as very cynical.
Mhm.
There's the show House,
Yeah.
where his core belief, and I think what connects so many people to like this guy is like this belief that everyone lies, no one changes,
Mhm.
and don't believe any patient, and no one changes. Addicts will always be addicts. People are always gonna like do what's making them unhealthy.
Mhm.
And I feel like a big part of me vibes with that. Like I really believe that, and I'm very cynical to it being, well, at least the norm. I
Oh
don't think it
yeah,
is the
no doubt
norm.
about that.
And I think a lot of people, this is gonna sound pretty doomer, but I think a lot of people fail at changing as well.
Probably.
Um, and then also, I guess what's worse than the people who fail at changing. The thing is, with people who fail at changing, at least they've tried. There's also people that go, "I'm too old, I can never change."
Mhm.
I feel like I hear that so many times,
Yep.
or like, yeah, whatever it is, whether it's like someone with an anger issue or like someone with like who's a little bit racist or whatever. They
Sure,
go,
sure.
"I'm too old," or "I'm too this, I'll never change," and it's
Yeah.
like,
Well, yeah, it's
well,
easier not to.
if you believe that, or and if you say that out loud to anyone, like it's kind of a self fulfilling prophecy.
Yeah, yeah, you have to believe it's possible, otherwise you're not gonna try even. And like in general, it is easier to stay comfortable. Um, but it's very interesting. Like maybe it is just like lying to yourself a little bit. And I think failure is not really possible as long as you keep like trying because like
Right, as long as you try again,
once you
yeah.
fail, you should learn. You can learn perspectives and like there's actually something my mom said that you never really do like the same thing twice, no matter what. It might feel like sometimes you're in repeat cycles, but like you've gained something, some type of perspective, and you're just different. Like even if you
Mm,
fall back like from like an addiction or something, you can get out of it easier if you've lasted like a year or two,
yeah.
because you're just not in the same spot as you were when you first got addicted.
Yeah.
And similar for like changes, trying to.
Yeah, I agree. I never really thought about it like that. For example, a perpetuating alcoholic, like they quit, every,
Hmm.
few weeks or every few months or whatever. Um, what do you say after the first time? It's like, okay, it's fine. Loads of people relapse. It's fine. What do you say after the 10th time? What do you say after the 100th time that they say, I'm never going to drink again?
Yeah.
And then they wake up, something bad happened. Maybe they feel lonely. Maybe they're just in a low spot. They're like,
Hmm.
okay, one beer. And then that beer turns into like 10. And it's
Yeah.
like, um, it's an interesting take though that your aunt says
Or as my
it's like all
mom.
part of a journey, even if it's
Yeah.
after 100
Yeah. I mean,
times.
like, I'm
Um,
sure you can get stuck in the same like cycle. Uh, so I think it's not like it's impossible to not learn anything from stuff. But I think if you're
yeah,
trying
yeah.
to, like, you just have a different perspective. Like, maybe even if you're not trying to, you probably do, but it's not as
Hmm.
like acknowledged. But what was I gonna say? Oh yeah, no, yeah. I just find it really interesting. Or I found it. I think this is maybe part of what also helped me like grow. Is I was on Reddit a lot,
Hmm.
and I don't know if it was which one it was. On a couple like Am I the asshole or like
Bro,
some
that's
other
so
ones like
addicting.
that, you know? Yeah.
It's so addicting.
And wherever I ended up though, I found very similar lines of people basically saying like it didn't matter what age they were. They could be 20, maybe younger. They could be 30s, 40s, however old. And basically everybody was like, "This thing happened to me. I'm horrible. Is it possible? Is there like a future for me? Like, is there anything that can like save me? Stuff like that, you know?"
Right.
And it's just crazy that everybody at any age, no matter what, can think that way. Not
Hmm.
crazy like I don't know how you can think that. It's just like interesting that it's a continuous like thought of people, and I believe for sure that it's never too late to change at any age or anything, as long as you like
I agree with that. I think
Yeah,
it's like major copium to
for sure.
even
It's like
claim anything.
I'm so old now. Like, what's even the point? And like, the
Yeah,
point is
yeah.
you'll just be happier. I don't know. Like, for some like changes,
Mhm.
Um, but yeah, like it's very interesting. Um, because yeah, I'd seen it everywhere on Reddit, and then I hadn't really thought about the idea until recently when I talked to my friend. And a lot of people just feel that way. Uh, Probably just because it's easier, more comfortable
Yeah,
to deal with like
I
the
agree. I think it's like a disassociation thing. They don't want to
yeah.
believe it's true because then that by that would mean they would have to take some
Hmm.
responsibility.
Yeah.
So it's better to just disassociate and believe it's not
Right.
possible.
Or I guess
It's like
it
a
could be
protection
anything.
mechanism.
Yeah. Yeah. Right. Overall, yeah. But I guess it could be anything in these. I kind of just think, yeah, it could be anything the six things that I said uh about like what it takes for a change. Like you could
Yeah.
even realize everything and then be like not have the time to like or not like think you have the time or like I don't know. Um so yeah, any component really could contribute or you could just not think it's worth it.
Right.
Like
Right. Yeah.
or whatever. I don't know. Um so yeah.
So yeah, you want to talk about some changes maybe you're going through or you've gone through recently.
Sure. The big one for me is the amount I'm eating recently, the past week or two.
How come?
Well, I just
Oh, this is super recent. Okay.
yeah, it's like 2 weeks, I think.
Yeah.
Maybe even a 1 week. It might be less. I think a week. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Basically, I just wanted to make. I think overall, like more. I guess just caring about what I eat in general. Because I realized I wasn't eating that much, and more towards like working out and like making more progress and like gains and that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Um, that's how it generally started. But like I know I never have eaten that much, but I basically my average was like 1,000 calories a day, probably
Before.
before. Yeah, plus or
Wow.
minus, which is really low, and I didn't realize or even like count calories. I just didn't think about it. I don't know. I just but at some point I got in the pattern of eating basically nothing during the day, maybe a granola bar, um,
Yep.
and then eating one meal for dinner. And it
Mm-hmm.
wouldn't always be the biggest thing or not. And I think like generally stomach like drinks.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. The
Um,
stomach definitely fools you.
yeah.
I would say, if anything, I have it the other way around, where I think my stomach is like bigger and
Mm-hmm.
like makes me feel hungry more than like I ever
Yeah,
need
yeah,
to
sure.
eat.
Yeah, when I started increasing my calories, I was starving literally always, like
Right.
because my metabolism came alive and all that. Um,
Mm.
but yeah, so yeah, that happened. I realized that I wasn't eating that much, and I wanted to add, uh, and I guess for me, I'd say like yeah, just not. I didn't realize or understand that like there was anything to even change there, which is probably a lot of people. Um,
Yeah, yeah,
Because anything like small like that, I definitely think a lot of stuff is like I'm sure it's pretty common. The things that you do or whatever you kind of assume are almost default sometimes.
for
Like
sure.
oh yeah, everybody eats like this. And I actually gained
Mm-hmm.
weight eating like that. Also, I forgot because in Georgia I would do that, but then I'd have like an edible at night, and I would just be like eating a bunch of just like junk food, and like a full bag of chips or something on top of
Right.
dinner,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
and then I'm not like I'm
No,
slamming a
that'll get you.
yeah. That's also before like sleeping and all that. So I ended up getting away from that, but I guess I just stuck to that. And recently, I guess I've probably been more in the area of like 2,500, which I think is still pretty low actually for the amount of activity I do.
Yeah, yeah. You do multiple a day, right?
Sometimes, yeah, at least generally one thing a day.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, that's the biggest
Any
recent
longer term
change.
changes you're trying to make? Let's say in the
Longer
last like
term,
year slash 2 years.
um, think are there any for you? I'll think about it for me.
Well, I've already spoken one time about like kind of pornography use. I
Yeah,
think
yeah.
that's like a
Uh huh.
weird thing like I'm just trying to cut out of my life.
Sure.
I don't even think it's that much of a person. Like it's not going to change like my character that much. I don't believe. Maybe some people would. People would say,
Mm-hmm.
"Oh, it's super like toxic addiction, and it's going to affect every facet of your life." I don't
Sure.
really believe that.
I'm
So
sure
I'm trying
there's
to
a
do
bit,
that.
but yeah.
I'm definitely trying to eat a lot more healthy. Not
Mm-hmm.
to say that like I wouldn't slam like a pizza any random night of the week, or
Right.
just in general junk food like burgers or whatever. But I am trying to cut. If I know I'm gonna eat junk food, I try to like make sure I don't eat anything bad else in the day, or
Mm-hmm.
try to work out extra hard that morning or the following morning. I think that's like those are really good like kind of uh reactions to make. I think like if
Yeah.
I eat pizza, if I know I'm gonna eat pizza that night, then I feel like I'll just go crazy at the
Sure.
gym, and
Yeah.
that's like
So equalizer.
yeah, it's an equalizer because I'm gonna eat like a pizza no matter what. You know, I'm not gonna eat more pizza because I went to the gym.
Yeah, yeah, I
So it's
gotcha.
like the plus minus on calories. So I've tried to be more healthy, but that's
Mhm.
always weird. I feel like I don't know if it's my body type. I don't know if you look in the mirror a lot and feel like there's no change. That's why progress
Yeah.
pictures are so good, but I
Yeah,
never
yeah.
take the ones at the
Mhm.
start. Uh, but
Well,
like
yeah, it's hard to notice because day by day it's like like
it's so
very
yeah, yeah.
small, and then
So I
that's all you're seeing. So
the biggest difference I feel is I feel like I've got more like strength and energy. Like I feel like
yeah.
running's a big one for me. I actually really enjoy running. Actually, I hate the first 10 minutes, but after you get through 10
Mhm.
minutes of it,
Mhm.
like it just feels boring and hard. But then you get like this kind of runner's high, like just a little bit longer, a little bit longer.
Yeah.
And I love that. And I feel like I can just keep going for way longer. Like
Mhm.
I feel like if I ran slow enough, then I could just keep running. And I understand almost how people run marathons, which I wouldn't even. I don't think I
Yeah.
could run
Yeah.
a
No.
quarter marathon. Maybe I could run a
But
quarter
you stepped into
marathon.
the realm, and you're like, okay.
But yeah, I understand it. How people, it's literally just a mental game at that point where you're running slow enough to the point where you can just keep going one leg
Yeah.
after the
Yeah.
other. It's a bit like walking, but a little
Right.
bit harder.
Mhm.
Um, and so I feel more energy. But when I look at myself in the mirror, I think it's the same. It's the same guy.
Yeah.
You know, I'm nowhere close to a six pack. I'm nowhere. I don't know. I'm nowhere close to any fitness influencer.
Mhm.
Even though I don't know if I believe any fitness influencer that they don't have something going on.
Yeah. I'm sure a lot
Um,
do.
yeah, yeah. I mean, they've got great genetics too, though, in
Yeah.
general,
Right.
all across the
Exactly.
board. Um,
You know, I feel
so
that.
yeah, health I think is a big one, and it's like that's a big one where I feel like I keep repeating the same as I've been
Yeah. Going back
since
to
I was 18. I would
right.
try to do sports. I would try to take walks if I wasn't doing sports. I tried to do some push-ups every night. And then I'd like fall off the
Mhm.
bandwagon slowly and
Yeah.
then
Completely
have
agreed.
like weeks and weeks where I wouldn't do anything. And then I would try again. I think the big change was when I moved to America and like the rival teammates made sure like I went to the gym a
Mhm.
lot and they really taught me how to like lift and stuff and how to be stay consistent a little bit. So even after that team, like I got kicked from that team, I was still pretty good with like going to the gym here and there.
Yeah.
So, but like I feel like any day I could be like, oh, I just don't want to go to the gym this morning, and that could turn into 2 days, and that could turn into a week,
Mhm.
and that could turn into a month, like so fast.
Yeah.
Um, and that's like for me, it wouldn't be a change, but a very long term change would be to someone that doesn't even think about it. Does Goes to the gym or does like good exercise 5 days a week, no question.
Yeah.
It's just routine. It's just routine. It's not
I don't
not
know if
something I
you.
debate.
I don't know if that's actually like how it works though.
What do you mean?
Maybe it is. I don't like. I for sure the amount that it takes for me to go is definitely way lower. But I think no matter what, at any point you're still gonna have those days where you're like, I don't feel like it, you know. And part of it is just being able to push through that kind of
Yeah,
and being able to deal
yeah.
with that
I
more.
see what you're saying. That's not like
Like I don't think that
a
goes
big
away is all
change
I
as a
mean.
human. But I think there are people like let's say gym rats or
Hmm.
whatever they are. It's just there's people that go running like six days a week, right?
Yeah.
So it's not gym rats. It's like,
You're
and
right.
there's people that don't even think about it, you know. And I don't think they wake up and they
Hmm.
struggle half as much as some other people,
Yeah, no,
let's
I'm not
say
saying it's
me from
right.
5 years
Yeah,
ago,
yeah.
who I'd say it does require like a almost like a mental change
Yeah, for sure.
um
I agree.
to to just be a fitness guy.
Yeah, no, no. I completely agree. I just think that like that component's there a little bit, and you probably just get better at dealing with it, and it probably comes up
Sure.
less. Like,
Yeah.
like I've been pretty good, pretty consistent, and obviously I'm not at the peak of that. But I definitely still like today. I was like, ah, like I ate right before I was gonna go to the gym, and then I like started reading. And I was like, I could just sit here for like and just keep reading because I'm not gonna and I'm gonna go. I mean, part of it
Yeah,
is
that's
wanting
good
to go
though.
too, but yeah, yeah, agreed. I just think that probably like it is just pretty common to some degree. Like you're always gonna have to fight through that a little bit.
Yeah, for sure. The other thing is what I'd like to what I'd like to change, maybe it's like a goal and not something that I'm becoming much better at now. Especially it's really hard when you're like a full-time stay-at-home dad like I
Mm-hmm.
am. I think it will change like when I start like if I get a job, which might be soon. Who knows? We'll see. You know where I am in a year's time or something.
Yeah.
But like I do want to become better with people that aren't like super friendly with me. You know,
Mm.
like just I want to be a good people person without already knowing like they're really good friends slash
Yeah,
family. Because
yeah.
I feel like I'm fine at that. I'm really good with like loyal friends.
Yeah, yeah. I got you completely.
It's that's easy mode for me, where it doesn't feel like there's much at stake.
Mm.
Like you don't have to
It's weird how that works, right? You'd think there's
be on
like
your toes.
almost more at stake though.
Yeah, it's true. Yeah,
It
yeah, yeah.
should
That's a
be
good
that way
point.
because they're more invested in your life. A random
With any
stranger you won't even
random,
see a second time most of the time. So.
yeah, the people that you'll never see again. I don't know why, but it's like for some reason, it's like in
Mm-hmm.
a lot of people's brains, including mine, that that's the most like anxious, socially anxious you should be, and it's like so weird to me.
Yeah. Yeah, it
Whoa,
is
whoa,
weird.
whoa.
Yeah, I'd agree with those for myself as well. Like health is for sure similar. I don't know exactly what it looks like outside of like exercise and like eating more
Yeah.
right now. I want more like I've been doing a little more complete meals too, but generally just the calories is what I'm caring about at the moment. I completely agree with that like socially thing. Because even there's times at the gym where I'm like I could say hi to some people there or just like small conversation. Sometimes I do. But I don't know why it seems so awkward. Just to even like somebody who comes in often, you're just like, oh, what's up?
Yeah, yeah.
Or I've been a little better in general. Like for my rock, there's like people at the desk, and I always say like, oh, how's it going? When I get there, like, I say that.
Mhm.
That's not too bad.
I think one thing I've kind of learned over maybe let's say the last 2 years is to get good with names.
Yeah, that's what I
Uh,
want to be better with for sure. Even
and
asking for
and
them and stuff, because
if I had a penny for the amount of times that I hear someone say I'm just not good with names,
mm-hmm.
and I've said it a million times to
Yeah,
people. So
100%.
I'm it's like but that that's like a weird label that doesn't have to be like
Yeah,
a fact.
that's true.
uh you can just you can get there's like linking you can do, like you can
Mm-hmm.
link names with something very specific about them, like it can literally just be a big nose, you know, oh like oh that's Bill with a big nose, whatever,
Yeah,
like
yeah,
um it doesn't have to be a bad thing, but like just remembering names or at least being close to names, being like oh you know Michael or Mike.
yeah. That's
um
true.
and I think people really appreciate people subconsciously appreciate that if you get it like right, or at least you're close, or especially if it but even if you have to ask someone's name like literally 4 times, I think people subconsciously understand that they're trying to you're
Yeah,
trying
right.
to remember, you're
Yeah, yeah,
trying to make it like to work. And I think you can only get better at remembering names personally,
yeah.
even though I feel like there's a
It's a
point where you
skill
know
for
like a
sure.
thousand names.
But I definitely do just write it off as like, "Ah, I'm just no good." And then I
Yeah,
also get
for me that's like a
afraid.
good start.
Yeah, I get afraid of getting it wrong too.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. But
And
it's
then
like,
sometimes like, ah, I just won't say it because like I don't want to get that wrong.
yeah, there's a point where you've known someone for too long
Yeah,
and it's embarrassing to not know their name anymore.
exactly.
That's funny. And
Yeah,
then it's like, I wish the me that had just met them like was awkward enough to just say, "Hey, what's your name again?"
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and that's basically me at the gym because there's people who go to the same like class as me at the same time, and their boards are even on the name. So technically, like I kind of know them, but I've never actually like
Hmm.
introduced. So I could be like, oh, your name's like this, right? And
Yeah,
then, but it's been like a while, like even a couple of months, and it's like, okay, is it worth to do that?
yeah.
Probably, honestly. Easy to make it think it's not.
What
Um.
climbing blocks and
Oh
Charlie's
yeah.
about to get in the cat tree.
Yep. Like I
Fine.
am.
Don't worry, don't worry, guys who's watching. Charlie is safe. She
It's
falls, breaks her
perfect.
neck.
There was one thing I was thinking. Also, I need to go to the bathroom.
You can. You can
Okay, I'm
do
gonna
that
go.
if you want.
I'll be right back.
Okay, this probably won't get edited out, so um I've got the comments from the last podcast episode out, episode 2. Thank you, Shadow Chair. Appreciate your love. Thanks, Ben Cowell. Thanks for the comment. Thanks for saying that. Um, Zackers, how do we manage stress during time as pros? It's actually very difficult. And for me, to be honest, I think the stress actually got worse and worse as I grew older and had more responsibilities with my money. Um, so the first few seasons, I just played by passion. I played a ton of the game. And I think that helped in terms of stress. I didn't like really have too much on my mind. Like if I got kicked, I'd just join another team. That was my mindset. And sorry, I'm answering
Yeah,
questions
yeah, I
from
gotcha.
last episode. And as I got older and had more responsibilities, I was more fearful of getting like kicked and how that would change my career, especially while I was in America. And it was actually really hard to manage that. And basically putting yourself on teams with really like honest teammates, whether that be good or bad. Like, I felt like helped a little bit manage the stress, but the real answer is that I thought it got worse and worse and worse the longer my career went. Which is like just a sad truth, but part of the game, I guess.
Yeah, it probably gets worse when you also consider like if you consider yourself a worse player too. Honestly, don't think I thought
Yeah,
about getting kicked ever though.
when you're younger, I feel like there's more potential.
Yeah.
Like even if you play bad, you can be like, yeah, I'm not gonna make
Hmm.
that mistake in a year's time, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. I never. I don't think I thought about getting kicked or kicking people really ever. It was like a. I mean, eventually it happened, I think, but for both.
I
But it was
forget
never
how
on my
many.
like mindset. My mindset was generally just work through stuff.
Yeah, yeah. I always wanted to do that. One or two
Sometimes not
times
possible.
we were kind of I don't remember what teams exactly, but I think with like Frezzy, who was
Mhm.
we went final season 3 with,
Yeah,
but
yeah,
he like did not play well and he blamed himself a little bit and we kept saying, "Hey man, get out of your head. Like we're still in this. We're still in this every game." And it was like he kind of did
yeah.
worse and worse every game.
That's rough.
And I was like, I think he we didn't even I don't know how much we needed to kick him, but he just kind of left.
Yeah,
Um
yeah.
but like that needed to happen. It was weird.
For me, it was
Anyway,
Scarabs, and
back.
that team was just dysfunctional. But yeah,
Oh yeah, 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 yeah.
yeah. Okay. So yeah, the changes also I'd say were one is gaming. I think I've been saying for the past like week I'm really close to quitting gaming or effectively as much as you can with because I do think I'm addicted and it gets in the way of doing other stuff.
Yeah, careful with
Um,
that label though, because I think that's such a societal like,
yeah, no, it's
oh, gamers are
possible.
just addicted, you know,
I
to
think it's
games.
very likely though. Uh,
Sure, sure. You might be addicted, but also like for example, I hate when I don't get to play pickleball every week, you know.
yeah,
I hate that and I wouldn't give it up, on my
sure.
own.
I think there's probably
Uh
good and bad addictions though as well. Like I don't think every
right,
addiction
but
is harmful.
if you're playing games with other people, I think that's a really good like that can be a really really
Right.
good thing.
Sure.
Like we're all just looking for connection in this lonely world. So
Yeah.
so I think it's fine. I think if you just I play a lot of games on my own and there's like a lot of cope like oh I use it to de-stress or like it's my
Hmm.
alone time. But I also just don't I think it'd be weird to quit it without having some reason to like something to replace it with.
Sure, sure.
You know what I mean? Like
That's
at the
fair.
end of the
It does
day,
leave a big like
I do
area.
use my brain to game, and I enjoy at least like card games that I play. I enjoy the
Yeah,
strategy
yeah.
bit. I feel like it's a problem solving thing for me.
Hmm. I don't disagree. And it's not the same for everybody, obviously. But for me, I just don't think it helps that much. And a lot of the times playing, I don't even enjoy myself.
Hmm.
Um,
So that's a bad thing.
I think if I don't quit, I want to make the swap to playing single player games.
Oh,
And
really? Yeah.
I think that they're less like dopamine filled and
Yeah,
actually
like
like an
more
enjoyment
long
thing.
term payoff.
Right, exactly. Which I have to like train myself to even like them again. Before I was like, oh, they're so boring because I like to.
Yeah.
I find that elsewhere, anyways. But yeah. So I'm thinking about that, and I think I might see how it goes for the new year. And then other than that, there's probably like relationship stuff. Uh, that is like long term change, I guess. Like closer with like family and friends and like a romantic partner. You know,
Hmm.
those would be the big ones. Other I mean, for romantic in general, like I think I haven't actually put forth effort really almost ever, except for like one situation, and that one like pretty bad. And then yeah, it's like any time effort towards that has just been like like half-hearted or even less than that. You know, it's like barely putting together a hinge app without actually like taking new photos or anything or like caring about
Right.
like what's on there. Really, it's just like I'll put on.
Yeah, yeah. You kind of expect good things to happen when
Well, yeah.
I did the same with Tinder when I did it. My profile was so half baked, and then I expected
Exactly.
my dating life to start well, given
Right.
that.
Just expecting things to work out, or that's just always
Yeah.
been my mindset towards like I don't need to put any effort and things will like it should just work out at some point. But I think I'll
Hmm.
actually put forth effort towards that soon. Probably New Year stuff. Oh yeah, but oh yeah, this is what I'm gonna say. Um, for some of these things, I don't. We'll see what. But my friend recommended me this book, which I haven't read yet. I have a bunch of books I need to read,
Hmm.
but I think it's like 12-week years. What it's called.
12-week year, but there's 52 weeks in a year.
Exactly. Yeah,
Nice.
it is called that. Yeah, so the premise is that like you break the year down into I don't know, I guess five different um yeah, basically the year into 12 weeks. 3 months, is that right? Okay, yeah,
Yeah,
so I
three.
guess it's
It's 3
four.
months.
Um and then you try to make changes like you would in a year, but in that time period, I guess. I don't know how I don't know exactly how it works, I haven't read it. But it's just a way to try to track change and see progress, I guess, and things.
Hmm.
My friend said he's read it before, and I think he tried to do it, but then stopped. Like he had another friend he was uh, trying to hold accountable, like each other, to work on it,
Yeah.
and I guess it fell through. But either way, I'm gonna read that and try to use that to implement some changes as well, and we'll see how that goes.
Yeah. I feel like it's a weird thing to point out, but I was kind of telling you before the podcast, but I think what makes change such an interesting like concept is how everyone kind of wants to believe it.
Hmm.
And I think that's why it's in all forms of like media. It's in the best books, it's in the best movies.
Yeah.
Uh like I think, for example, books that we both read is like the Stormlight Archives, and
Yeah.
how much, like for example, Kaladin changes,
Hmm.
especially I think in the first book.
Yeah.
Um and like Shallan changes a lot. They become different people. I think in Game of Thrones, like Jamie specifically, Jamie Lannister changes a ton.
Yeah.
Um from who he was in the first episode where he pushes Bran
Right, yeah, character progression and
down the
all that stuff.
tower. And like he just changes so much. And I think, like for example, like Frodo in Lord of the Rings, like he goes from this like cowardly little like kind of mouse of a hobbit to like someone who make goes on this crazy adventure, decides to climb up a hill
Mhm.
infested with orcs and throw the ring down the thing. And it's like
Right.
I feel like there's a reason, like it's a constant in all the best stories.
Mhm.
It's change, but it's like how it, for me it's like change how believable it can be, like you don't just you can't just write a book and say, "Yep, this happened, then the person changed, and
Yeah,
that's the
yeah,
end."
yeah.
Uh you really have to make it believable. And I feel like one like weird thing about change is like trauma.
Uh-huh.
I think trauma changes people,
Okay.
sometimes for the worse.
Mhm.
Um well, I'd say a lot of the time for the worse. I don't know. What do you think?
Um, yeah. That's like kind of what I talked about with like a big thing, creating the need for change. It definitely does. I think there's no doubt that it just initially at least makes things worse, right? It just does.
Yeah.
And then it's kind of about how you react to it, I guess. Uh,
Yeah.
over to time because no matter what, like I guess you could react instantly rest from there. A lot of times, like you end up getting stuck in ways. Like I'm pretty sure, like for me, I was depressed in college,
Mhm.
and that was like, 2017, I think,
Mhm.
around then. And
Yep.
I never really like addressed that. I just kind of try to move on.
Yeah.
And like the effects lasted for a long time, even though things like were better sometimes and worse. Like I don't know if I ever actually fully got at like it was not as severe probably the depression, but like there's definitely lasting effects.
Yeah.
Um, until like at some point during, I'm pretty sure it was when I started reading Stormlight Archives actually that it like kind of I woke up a bit, and then
Yeah.
I made a lot more progress recently. But yeah, so the period is definitely a little fuzzy on when that happens, but yeah, I think trauma, no matter what, kind of changes things for the worse and your mindset and all that. And then like because of that, you can kind of like sometimes I think depending on how things go, like maybe depending on if you make yourself out to be a victim or things like that, uh, and don't like try to make change possible for yourself.
Yeah.
It can go like you can be stuck in that mindset of things happening to you, and like there's nothing like you're just basically get stuck, and then uh, or you can kind of use that to kind of catapult you into changing your perspective and like things about yourself that you'd like to.
Mhm.
And
Yeah.
it's definitely not a guarantee which way it'll go.
Yeah. I mean, I really like. I feel like you can choose. Well, not you can choose. I feel like some people come out more resilient after
Yeah, for
like
sure. It
terrible
definitely
things
builds that,
happen.
builds strength and
Um.
resilience and all that.
Yeah. Yeah. And but it. I feel like there's a matter of time. Like
Hmm.
when, like, let's say trauma, whatever it is, happens to you. Like it can literally just be you tried to make a friend in high school on your first day at high school. Like I remember one time, like we just came back from Niger in Africa. We were missionaries, so all my parents were missionaries, so I didn't have many other like friends that were like me, at all.
Hmm.
Um, we came back, and it was my first day in high school in England. So we were 12, so it was like seventh grade. Because they do like there's no middle school. Like usually there isn't. So and I remember one time I wanted to be friends with this guy called Connor, but he called me a fat bastard in front of like two other people, and then I wanted
Right.
to cry. And then I stopped trying to like become
Right.
friends for like a
Yeah.
good. It was only about a week or so before someone like else approached me. Really, he became my best friend in that school.
Hmm.
And he just like we hit it off and whatever. And then I like it helped me get like over almost the trauma. And trauma I use loosely because
Right.
there's far worse trauma than that. But like this guy made me like want to like really like almost tear up. Well, I
Yeah.
did tear up.
Hmm.
Managed not to like cry in public, but like um it made me not want to approach anyone ever again.
Yeah.
For at least the next week. So it was like in the short term, but when I look back at it, I think in a way that's kind of how the world is. Um that it can be cold,
Hmm.
especially if I don't know what kind of had going on. I think he just wanted to look cool
Right.
for a second, like putting someone down. It's fine. Like there's a lot of bullies. Charlie's got a pillow. There's a lot of bullies in the world. There's some bad people. The world can give you lemons sometimes. And now I feel more resilient. Like in my whole Smite career, when people would be like kind of mean on Reddit or like after a bad performance, after I just fed my brains out, I'd be so resilient. And I feel like
Hmm.
my time at high school completely built me up and protected me from what people said after
Yeah.
bad performances. So unless it was like another teammate, a teammate is different because I respected their opinion a lot more. It mattered
Yeah.
my
Yeah.
um my relationship with them mattered more. With just random fans of Smite, I just didn't care, and that helped me the most of almost any other trait
Hmm.
in our Smite careers. In my Smite career, but in the short term, it was like terrible. It was like the worst thing ever that this kid made me feel like shit
Yeah. Yeah.
just for that moment in time. So yeah, and I feel like a lot of people also like high school bullying. I feel like is maybe one of the most common traumas or
Right.
like bad things to happen early on in life. And I don't think I was bullied bad at all,
Mm.
compared to a lot of other people. But some people get so badly bullied that it's not something that can give them resilience. It's literally just
Well,
like
yeah. Some people don't
going to be
get the
negative.
like positive aspect afterwards. You know,
Yeah,
they
yeah.
get to
Especially
negative over into negative, and then they're like,
i-
"Well,
if if that guy
that's on
hadn't
me."
like become a good friend of mine the week later, then I feel like I would have almost disassociated from high school.
Right. Yeah. It's very possible.
In the short term, and that's like a whole like
Hmm.
people get like suicidal and stuff, especially in their teenage years. Um, so it's like, yeah, I definitely think it's a mixed bag. What you want, I think, is not trauma, but like bad things that you can overcome mentally or whatever. The
Yeah.
world helps you overcome, let's
Right.
say, and I think that does help you change and become a better person after. But then like the real meaning of trauma is like stuff that's so bad that it lives with you forever, and it's
Hmm.
like um sometimes makes you not want to get out of bed in the morning or whatever. It just affects how you perceive everything, and I think those are like super hard issues to tackle.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, those for sure are. It takes like a lot, and like, which makes sense that people maybe think change is impossible because of how much it takes and maybe effort that you have as a resource and all this stuff. Like, I'm
Yeah.
pretty, I guess, blessed to uh just have the I have the freedom to kind of spend my time on thinking about like myself and like
Yeah,
working on mental health and physical health and
I think everyone does though, or
sure
for the most
I have a
part.
lot
Like
more
there's
freedom than the majority of people in the world, I
You
think.
think so?
Yeah, 100%. I mean, okay,
Sure.
it doesn't mean that people don't have any freedom to do stuff. They just choose to maybe spend their time elsewhere, you know? And who am I to say
Mhm.
if that's right or wrong? Not everybody even needs to change. I personally think that like it would benefit a lot of people, but it doesn't mean that anyway, some other time. But like even I think something I've realized maybe in my last therapy session I was talked about is like people in my similar position don't necessarily work on things like I am. And that's probably maybe they haven't dealt with like depression or I don't know. I don't know what leads to me wanting to do it versus other people. But just because I have the free time doesn't mean you're also inherently gonna do it. Um, so maybe there's always just some excuse that you could come up with if you want to.
Mhm.
If you want to work on it, then you just should.
Yep.
But having extra time to dedicate to it, I think, is very nice. At the very least.
For sure. Yeah. But that comes with being mindful, but then like the other side of that coin is boredom, I feel like. And boredom like does real bad things to you, you
Oh
know.
yeah, for sure. That's true.
Or even like I'd say
I
in the
mean,
same another side of the coin is like loneliness,
yeah.
where if you don't have much going on, you're probably bored or lonely or both, you know. And
Hmm.
I feel like that a little bit for myself.
Yeah, no, yeah. I get that.
And but then like mindfulness is like this, like in almost any religion, but I don't even think it's religious per se. They would say to practice like mindfulness, but
Hmm.
then like even like a psychologist would just say that it's a good practice. Um, and it's like it's a weird like rabbit hole that every facet of life, like it doesn't matter if you're like an atheist or whatever. Most people would tell you that it won't be a bad thing to be mindful of things, you know. Um,
Yeah.
Which yeah, I feel like no one can really do any harm by going down that path if they do wanna change towards that.
Yeah, I'd agree. It's definitely nice. There's like different ways mindful. 'Cause
What do you
I've
mean?
well like the only the I mean I'm sure I'm mindful in other ways, but when I'm really intentionally like I try to do practice like mindfulness, it's like I go to like a park bench, then I like
Mhm.
focus on like breathing, and then I try to like think about my sense perceiving like
Yeah.
nature, like looking at trees,
Yeah, yeah, well
how I like hearing like things, birds or
mhm.
whatever, feeling like the
That's
sun,
definitely good to do
things
it
like that.
outside. Yeah,
Um,
I definitely would say, being mindful is, like, 100%, kind of almost retreating into your senses,
mhm. But yeah, but then
yeah,
like
among other things.
for like meditating, I've kind of learned that it's not like there's different types of like mindfulness. I think of like being in your body, like
Mhm.
feeling things. Um, but when you meditate, a lot of it's actually like kind of in your mind, or like it's like nothing happening, or you know,
Mhm.
controlling your thoughts a little bit, having a bit of control over them. But like when you're kind of thinking about stuff, you're not really in your body, so it's like a little. I'm not too sure how to like think about that. But I yeah, I don't know. I mean, mindfulness is mindful is happening.
Brilliant.
I just don't.
Brilliant analysis there.
Yep, that's what I got. I just don't really fully understand it. I think being in the moment's really good. Being
Yeah.
present. I don't know.
I feel like it's such a universal word. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You think about it too much, it stops meaning anything.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Um, I don't know.
Yeah. I've said I think everything that is in my tiny little brain.
Yeah. I think if there's much else. I mean, we're at 50 minutes here, so it's been a bit.
Sure.
Sure there could be more stuff. Like the only thing with change that I think is worth going into because we kind of this was in our first episode, and I maybe I mentioned it some other times with labels.
Yeah.
Um, but I don't know if it's worth going back over. I think it's be like I think last episode even we I glossed over
Sure.
like so I guess we're solid then. I don't know if there's anything we want to talk about for the holidays. Is Christmas coming up?
Yeah. I mean, I'm driving up to New York.
Mm-hmm.
See Zoe's family, which I'm kind of dreading because that drive is a long drive, and
Yeah, that's a long drive.
yeah, we're gonna do it at night so Charlie can sleep, like, in the car, but,
Okay.
Zoe also is one of those people that just needs to be asleep
Yeah.
during the night.
So you're alone basically,
Crazy, isn't
which
it?
yeah.
So, yeah, I'm, like, guaranteed gonna be doing, like, at least 8 out of the 12 or
Mm-hmm.
13 hours drive, and it's like, "Oh, man."
Yeah.
Dreading that, but, I love her family, which is what the destination,
Mm-hmm. So
so,
it'll be nice when you get there, but maybe
yeah,
you
I
can find an
don't I'm
audiobook
not
or
dreading that.
something. I don't know.
Yeah, yeah, I have. I downloaded The Martian, and then I realized that I didn't wanna read it until I go, like, drive.
Yeah, yeah.
So, it's like a Matt Damon
Okay.
movie,
It sounds familiar, but
but yeah, there's a it's the same author. If anyone listening to this has, heard or read, Project Hail Mary. It's like that's one of my favorite fiction books of the last, let's say, 5 years.
Mhm.
It's a one-off. It's like not a series, but it like won awards for the year. It was maybe um, 2030, 2023 or 2022, one of those years. But it's so good. It's like there's a guy who like he's like a physicist, so he understands space travel, and it's about like a space like adventure kind of.
Uh-huh.
Without spoiling, it's amazing, but it's the same guy who wrote The Martian, which became a movie.
Okay.
Um, but yeah, that's
Nice.
so I've got that queued up.
Yeah.
What about you?
Uh, I'm going to my family's traveling to Connecticut, where my sister moved recently. She had twins.
Oh, nice.
Uh, pretty recently, I think.
Recently?
It was October or November.
Oh, so you're a new uncle, or you already an uncle,
I've
right?
been an uncle a bunch of times over, but
Oh,
yeah.
you've been, yeah.
Oh yeah, I've been an uncle.
Oh, yeah.
So yeah, we're all going there, which will be interesting. I've never gone to. I mean, I've passed through Connecticut. I've gone to Maine. Never actually gone there. Yeah, I'm reading Sunlit Archives Book 5, which came out beginning of this month.
Oh, really? That's super cool.
Yeah, and that's been pretty great.
I'm still on book 3, so I'm very
Yeah,
excited
yeah.
to read that.
I won't say anything about it. I recommend everybody reading Sunlit Archives if they haven't. It's my favorite fantasy series ever.
Definitely very good writing.
And Brandon Sanderson's the goat. Uh, but yeah, so I'm like 60 or 70% through that, and getting very good. Plus I have a bunch of books to read, but yeah, I guess I'll be looking to, be looking to make some better connections with my family.
Yeah. Family's a weird
Possible.
one where
Yeah.
you don't choose them. So
Yeah.
there's no element of like, oh, they're not my people. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Like there's some people in life, I think it's totally fine to be like, this person isn't my, like he's not, this person isn't for me,
Yeah, yeah.
or I'm not for them, and that's fine.
Mm-hmm.
Like walk away. You can just be like people that say hello when you're passing, and that's it.
Right.
But with family, it's like weird because
Tough.
uh yeah, you've got there's blood in your veins that you share, which it doesn't really matter, but
Sure.
you're connected by other family no matter what.
Yeah.
So
And generally, like growing up and things like that, of connections.
for
What
sure.
I find the toughest aspect for me is that my family's really big. I
Yeah.
think in general, I'm pretty like I think I can connect with probably everybody like individually in the
Mhm.
conversations, but when it's in a group environment, it's tough. And also like
Yeah.
like at Thanksgiving, it was less family, which makes it a bit easier, I guess. But
Mhm.
like people like mentioned maybe changes in like I don't know, like like I'm looking good or healthier, which is like nice. But I've also like talking to my therapist too. He mentioned that like everybody like their family, right? You grow up together. I mean, it depends on your family, but generally you grow up together and you have like a group dynamic kind of from your family,
Mhm.
and then you kind of move away, spread out or whatever, go to college, do random things, and then
Mhm.
you kind of grow individually. And then when you get back together for like holidays, especially like I see my family probably a couple times a year. And when you get back together, the group dynamic hasn't really grown. It's kind of similar from when you like grew up. So it's
Mhm.
easy to revert back to like old like tendencies and things like that too.
For sure.
So maybe I'll try to be mindful of that. Well, because I'm the baby of the family here of like
Yeah.
7, and then I kind of
Well,
I revert to that for sure of like
something I forget all the time, especially with family, especially with uh, any like friend that's not super close, like I was talking about before, but like you care what they think
Mhm.
just because you're like bound to see each other again.
Yeah.
Um, I always forget to like just enjoy it for
Right.
myself.
Yeah.
You know
True.
what I mean?
Thinking too much about like.
I'm trying so hard to like look good or be perceived
Hmm.
as like not rude or whatever,
Right. Right.
or not say the right thing or whatever. That I sometimes forget to just enjoy the moment.
Yeah.
But no, I really believe that
Yeah.
So it's more like advice to myself. But
Agreed.
going into Christmas, I think it's like such a pure aim to just enjoy
Mhm.
um, different time that's not just like the mundane routine of your life.
Right, yeah. Well, that could be the
Yeah,
goal. Um, yeah, I hope everybody has a good Christmas. I don't know when our next will we be.
it might be three
I
weeks.
don't
We'll
know.
see.
Look at the.
Yeah, it can't. Oh, it might actually be 2 weeks. Like I might be
Oh,
able to do
technically,
two
it's the
weeks.
31st. I can't do that day, but
That's fine. Yeah.
I'm travel. Oh,
I
actually, no,
probably
I
won't be
could.
either.
I could because I'm flying.
We'll keep in contact,
We can
but
see, but
probably
it'll
won't.
be
Yeah,
maybe
we'll
the
see.
New Year have passed or not. But hope everybody has a good Christmas and New Year. Ugh.
Enjoy it.
And yeah, thanks for listening. Catch you next time,
See you guys.
boy.